The Substance 2024. Wow, what a film this was. I knew it was a body horror film, and that's actually what put me off seeing it when it first came out. But I saw it last night and I was so impressed. I really enjoyed it. The comedy tends to happen towards the end. There isn't that much comedy, or at least I didn't pick it up in the early part of the film. However, there's horror all the way through, and that involves blood and gore. I found that difficult. That's what put me off. I was interested in seeing it after hearing Natasha Devon talking about it briefly, and I thought, oh wow, maybe it is worth seeing. I mean, the commentary, feminist commentary, of course, that appeals to me. It starts off with an egg that a substance is injected into it, and the egg splits into two, just like cells do, but this is on a different scale. And so we get to meet Demi Moore's character. She's called Elizabeth, and we get a flashback over her successful Hollywood career. She's been amazing. She gets a Hollywood star on Hollywood Boulevard, of course. I always did wonder why they are in the pavement. They are squares that people walk on. Drinks get spilt off, vehicles drive on it, and that's exactly what happens. We actually see that all at the start of this film, and that is a brilliant allegory of the reality of being an actress in Hollywood and being a woman in general, actually. Sell-by dates. You hit an age and you're not as valuable. You lose value. And Elizabeth was a shining star, and then she comes to being laid off effectively. She has a aerobics body workout videos, like so many stars, have gone into one of those scenarios where she's doing those videos, but they're now probably all streaming on YouTube or TikTok. She has a car crash again right at the start of the film. Oh yeah, there's humour at the start. She's looking at this billboard as she's driving along, and oh my gosh, she realises that it's been taken down. And that momentary distraction means that she loses control of the car, flips it, and she's taken to hospital. Gosh, I know about that. The hospital scans, all those scans after my back injury. Awful. But she hasn't got anything major. The main consultant walked out earlier. Just as she's about to go, some young whippersnapper of a chap gives a tip off. Perfect face, unreal. As Elizabeth is getting up from her hospital bed, he says, there's this sort of place where you can find the elixir of youth. You can actually stay young thanks to this substance. He slips this thumb drive, says the substance on it. She watches it, very short video explaining what happens. She then cans it, she bins it off, and oh wow, she has second thoughts. She decides to explore this alley, and it's not Los Angeles alley, so it's not like a dark London alley, but it's still not a place you'd want to walk down. Los Angeles, there's certain areas, fast roads, and then there's these deserted industrial areas. She's rang up a number for a key card, and she finds the logo of this place where the substance is, gets in, finds her locker, number 503. This is package. It has explicit instructions, great deal of detail, really important stuff. She goes home, activates the process, and then it gets a bit all oof. Gory stuff happens inside her body, and I won't explain much more because this is really all at the start, but I will say, for anyone who is worried about the squeamishness, she just split open, her back split open at the spine, and a new her crawls out. I mean, you can see the new her forming before, like two eyes appear. It's like within her, a second her is being created. It's just like the egg that we see at the start. Cellular division, a complete birth In some ways, it's a bit like Men 2022 in that the birth happens very unnaturally. It's kind of cloning, but she produces a younger 20-something woman called Sue. Who wouldn't want to be Sue? Wow, she looks awesome. Just like everyone who's 20-something wants to look. Perfection of beauty standards. I was wondering what goes through her mind, Margaret Qualley, because she knows she's early on in her trajectory. Eventually, she'll be like Demi Moore. And I do wonder what Demi Moore thinks. And in fact, what every actress in Hollywood history thinks, because there's these sell-by dates, this expiration, and it's expressly used by. I find the most difficult scenes to watch are when Dennis Quaid plays Harvey. Harvey. I don't know why that name makes me laugh. Well, I do actually, but oh my gosh. It must be incredibly upsetting to be a woman in the acting industry as the process goes on. All the horrific behaviour by men who have power. Every time I find out more about the news from the US, it's got worse. But for so many people, I'm going to go off on a tangent. I will not let myself do that today. Just the way the cis straight men have captured power so quickly in under 5 weeks as I cover this video. Harvey is eating at a restaurant, maybe it's a cafeteria in the film studios, but he's stuffing food into his mouth horrifically, and I cover my ears because I've got misophonia, but just can't even look at the screen when there's food in someone's mouth and they're talking with a mouth wide open. It's disgusting, and it's actually worse than the horror in this film. And his attitude, of course, his attitude towards Elizabeth. And then when Sue appears, his attitude's totally different. Wow, the way he swoons over her. It's expressly clear, and it's brilliant the way this film is done. And it's just force-fed in a fantastic way for everyone to see. The thing is, of course, there's a process to follow. Oh my gosh. Elizabeth, I thought her lifeless body, but she's dormant for a week because there's this switch over every week. They have to switch over every 7 days. There's 7 units that need transferring. There's blood or other bodily fluids that probably help with the rejuvenation that go back and forth between Elizabeth and Sue. She's got everything thrust upon her. She's suddenly doing these amazing workout videos. She's idolised. The stardom has gone to her head. Sue becomes more demanding. Of course, she wants. One of the clearest points of the logic of the whole thing is you are one. Elizabeth and Sue are one person. But as sure as that egg split, as all the cells in Elizabeth's body split, there's a split in what they want. And that's the downfall. Sue becomes more demanding. Her attitude's angry and entitled, and just what people don't like about Hollywood stars. Elizabeth is demure. So there's a payback. When the rules are bent, there's a payback. And oh, even as that starts, the fact that I've arthritis, it made me wince seeing that. Also listen to the audience as they gasped in horror as certain things happen. Both sides start a war of attrition against each other. So Sue and Elizabeth are at war with each other. Of course, this develops into a spectacular mess that reaches its crescendo on New Year's Eve. You can see that coming. And this is perhaps the slight flaw, at least as far as I'm concerned. Maybe it's just me that my desire to look beautiful is thankfully limited. Of course, I'd like to look young, I'd like to look beautiful. And some people occasionally still tell me that, and they're being very kind. I don't know, I can't really judge myself. I look at photos of how I looked when I was in my 20s, my heart melts. But I like a lot about myself. I love what I've learned over the last 30 plus years of wonderful life. So I couldn't see myself going like Sue and Elizabeth in this awful civil war in one person. And you know that's definitely not going to end well. I mean, just put 2 and 2 together and you can guess it's not going to work out well. And the men, they are gross. They're creepy, I think. I'm really glad I'm Demi-Ace. Really glad. The Power Grab. There's a brilliant commentary. I think it's a film that is going to get one of my highest scores, 9.5. And that's despite the gore. It won't get 9.75. It's very clever on its narration, on the logic of the procedure, because maybe if she'd stayed, if she'd kept to the rules, things may have gone on. There's a new refill delivery every so often, so there's always other risks. Going down that deserted alley might get followed and jumped. That's the awful thing about going somewhere deserted. Horrific. Why it can't be delivered at home, I don't know. There's all these thoughts that come into my head afterwards, but I think the narrative was great, the acting was great. Demi Moore is such a star, and I really do hope she gets some Oscar recognition for this film, because it really is a 9.5 out of 10. Credit to everyone who was involved in making this film. Just brilliant. When someone drops their fast food at the start, a burger full of tomato sauce and all that, it gets smeared into the star. It is effectively what happens in this film. Yeah, there's some gore. You have to somehow not watch that if you're squeamish like me. Or you might just be lucky enough like me. Somehow I became desensitized as the film progressed. I just enjoyed it so much. That's how it worked for me. Let me know what you think. Thanks if you like this film review. Thanks for subscribing if you do. Hit that notification button, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now. Demi Moore is demure. Demi Moore is demure sounds better, doesn't it?